We're in for the long haul, people, okay? It's been a while since we've done one of these, and that's because they're painful. Because it's like pulling teeth, all right? But I got a lot of teeth. I got like 30 or 40 of them, maybe? I don't know how many teeth a person's supposed to have. I have the normal amount of teeth, okay? Who is censored more? Liberals versus conservatives, the middle ground. Get ready, people. Look at how happy this guy looks. This guy looks like he's about to pop a pog, you know? Wait, what's the normal amount of teeth? Wait, guys, how many teeth should I... 50 teeth is the normal amount? I have the normal amount of teeth, okay? Around 32? That sounds a bit better. Okay.
Welcome back to Middle Ground, and thank you to our sponsor,
he's happy, I'm
for
happy.
making this episode possible.
Yeah, Parler, 4chan. Yeah, no, I mean, again, this is true. If you're creating an online service, you have the right to decide what your community is going to look like. It's pretty simple. I think that's a fairly simple, straightforward rule. Like, this is the question that I have to ask to people who don't like TOSs, okay? How would you feel if you created a fan forum for, like, a kid's cartoon show or something? You know what I mean? And you have, like, a little forum, but you can't have any TOS. So every once in a while, neo-Nazis go over there and they spam gore, they spam pornography, they spam... It's not illegal. That's not illegal. Nothing illegal about that. They just spam it, and the community is unusable by children. Is that acceptable? Well, no. Obviously, you need some kind of terms of service to regulate the behavior that people can engage in. Well, okay. What if you have a service like Twitter, and they don't really like the idea of their community being overrun by, like, harassers and bigots? Well, do we have a TOS there? Sure, yeah. There is a broader argument to be made that big tech has way more power than it should, and that's true, but TOSs aren't going away. They will always be a part of the ways in which we engage with online services. That is not changing. I don't think that should change either. Even if we're talking about some socialist utopia, I would still want there to be some kind of limit on the kind of behavior you can engage in online, because otherwise nobody's going to use these sites.
Really as bad as what I've seen other Democrats say.
Well, I guess to not deflect, what should be the appropriate consequences when someone violates the terms and conditions?
Is this the think of the children argument? No, it's not.
I think it should be like a clear punishment, right? It shouldn't be a punishment, like especially for like being kicked off. It should be for everybody. Yeah. But if that is the solution, that has to be the solution for everybody.
So, No Name, Sean King.
Hey, No Name, what's up? Hey!
Prominent left-leaning activists that I know of. And they have been repeatedly banned from Twitter, suspended from Facebook, Instagram.
I'm not defending any of it.
And then when it happens
also,
to Candace
I don't like
Owens
Sean
and
King.
Sharpiro, we hear conservative voices are being, but it's the exact same thing that was happening on the left that's now happening on the right. So I think the problem is the conservative, I don't see you. The conservatives that believe this rhetoric is being suppressed, I don't think they know the other side is dealing with the same thing.
There's no real history of which...
All the real OG leftists on Twitter have made 137 accounts, okay? That's how you know, all right?
I'm aware of left-leaning creators being blacklisted the way that guys like Alex Jones, James Woods, Donald Trump have been.
Yeah.
Alex Jones was on this journalistic scene for 30 years, and they erased all 30 years of that.
How about the White House?
Journalistic scene. Oh God, this guy is lost. Oh man. If you're at a point, Alex Jones has openly admitted that nobody should take him seriously and that he does a bit. He does this to get out of lawsuits, by the way. If you're calling Alex Jones a journalist, then whoo boy, you are. This is the poli-sci student? Okay.
YouTube channel, they eliminated all of Trump's videos. All of them.
Do you not see the difference, though? Because Sean King says abolish the police. And, say Alex Jones, for example, says, when do we...
So this right here is a really, really common argument used by everyone from neo-Nazis to just regular conservatives. And it's not true. The reason why platforming these figures is dangerous is because they have a soapbox from which they can spread their ideology. If they get relegated to some tiny, like, little community off to the side, they don't have the ability to do that. Deplatforming works. It works every single time. It always works. That's why they fear it so much. That's why they complain about it constantly. If deplatforming didn't work, then conservatives wouldn't spend 98% of every day sweating as they fear the consequences of the shit they say. That's just how it is.
draw the line, because if somebody, let's use Kung Flu for example, what I said earlier. Let's say it's Alex Jones that says, oh, this is a Chinese virus. They brought it here. And then we see a rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans.
Oh, wait, hold on. Somebody linked me this. Get ready for it. We can't engage beyond this. Oh, whoops.
Oh, here it comes.
Like, I don't think that lying by omission is rape. Even if we're switching.
Oh, here it comes. If you lie about if you're a lawyer and you say you have a lot of money and then you lie, that's not rape. That's what he's gonna say.
That's what this is. I don't think that's rape. If you pick a girl up in a nice car, but then
how did I know?
only own like a beater car,
How did I know?
is that rape?
How do I know?
Predicting valid counterarguments by saying them in a funny voice isn't the same as debunking those counterarguments. I don't know if he knows that.
How do I know? You know what I must have done? I bet I went into the other room and I was just...
Oh, there we go. It's going to be a meme. Vaush ignoring the actual argument while taking the optically optimal position. This is another thing that his community does at this point, by the way. Anytime I say a thing that people will like and Destiny says something stupid, they say I'm only saying the right thing for optics. This is an argument they've been making a lot lately. The only reason I make the arguments that I do is like optically. It's like, it's not my fault that the arguments he makes are bad optically. I can't help that. Anyway, yeah. We don't need to engage with this. He's just having fun.
When do we draw the line? Because he would still have the platform.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
back
I
10
don't think we
seconds.
should-
Yeah.
They brought it here. And then we see a rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans. When do we draw the line? Because he would still have the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should deprive the people who are actually committing these crimes of the agency in committing them.
Right.
You know, like they are doing that, and they frankly would be doing that regardless of whether or not there was somebody who was using inflammatory rhetoric online. That's exactly my point when I say these ideas don't go away. And then you feed those ideas.
Wait, did I mishear this? Hold on, I'm sorry.
People who are actually committing these crimes of the agency in committing them.
Right.
You know, like they are doing that, and they frankly would be doing that regardless of whether or not there was somebody who was using inflammatory rhetoric online.
Okay, that is obviously and unquestionably bullshit. I don't know how anyone could believe that. Yeah, dude, all the people who do racism, they would like just be doing it anyway, whether or not anyone made them racist. It's just all behavior is actually charted in the stars. And, you know, it, and just, it's, you know, who we let talk and don't talk, whatever, it's just having fun. Like, okay.
That's exactly my point when I say these ideas don't go away. And then you feed those ideas, you
Riot.
This is such a bullshit argument that any so the lefties, the people on the left, the liberals, they should be able to handle this just fine, okay? Optically, this is incredibly easy to handle, all right? Nobody is defending the riots and the damage caused by the riots. We're only saying that riots are caused by social unrest. If you want to fix that, you have to fix the social unrest. Take a look at any developing country that's going through a lot of internal strife right now. Let me ask you folks a question. Does cracking down on riots lead to less violence and social unrest in the future, or does it escalate and spiral and get worse and worse and worse because the underlying problems are never addressed? It always escalates because there are millions and millions of people in your country. There are only so many police, and the police are themselves people. There will be outages, there will be firings and breaks and blue flus where cops decide not to go in that day because they're sympathetic to whatever cause the cops are supposed to be cracking down on. And yeah, no, it just doesn't work that way. This is simple, okay? The rioting is bad. If you want the rioting to not happen, fix the social problems that cause it. It's that simple.
That's our life savings right there. We put a lot of money into that.
Do you know, so I guess let's take it back to the civil rights movement, because usually I think the future sometimes is a better indicator of what's like morally right and wrong. I lived about 10 minutes from Ferguson and was there when those buildings were burning down, and it was incredibly terrifying. But I also remember the business owners who said, I can replace my windows. What I can't replace is a lost child. So hearing those business owners...
That's very sweet, but do business owners actually say that? Is that a thing a business owner would say? Maybe. Maybe some very nice business owners.
Hearing them, I can talk about them hypothetically and how I hypothetically think they might feel, but I also can talk about people who had their own buildings burned down.
You know,
This is a bad argument, by the way. The argument she's making right now is essentially saying that the riots are fine because they're like saving the kids who died, but riots lead to more people dying. So her argument here is not internally consistent. The argument she's making is like, yeah, I can replace the windows but not the kids, but the riots break the windows and kill the kids. So you're basically giving ammunition to the conservatives here. It's not really a good counter argument.
And people who do say that they're on like the Black Lives Matter side, of course.
Not necessarily. A lot
sure.
of them are white.
But at the same time,
Wait. He didn't say are black. He said are part of Black Lives Matter. White people can be part of Black Lives Matter. Wait. Hold on. Oh boy. Don't send a liberal to do a... Wait, which death are we talking about? I'm sorry, there have been so many black people killed by cops. Michael Brown? Oh God, it's been so long. I don't even remember the circumstances of Michael Brown's death. I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely do not remember.
Spreading the misinformation, and then it also...
And also, if you'd like to have the perspective...
Also, the actual circumstances... Oh, Mike Brown was 2014? Oh, he's the loose sig guy? No, Eric Garner was the loose sig guy. That one was fucking crazy. The Eric Garner shit was the Eric Garner shit was one of the most overtly bad cop killings that have ever been tied to BLM. That was really, really, really bad. The SIG thing was Mike? Wait, wasn't it Eric Garner? Wait, Eric Garner. Wait, I'm sorry, there have been so many. No, yeah, Eric Garner died in New York Police Department chokehold in 2014. Yeah, I was correct, yeah. Anyway, that one was crazy. Anyway, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Okay, continue.
So I was there that day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Also, I heard my smoothie arrived. I want my smoothie, hyena. I heard the doorbell. I want it. I don't like this argument either. A lot of misinformation spreads about stuff like that, but it's always going to happen. Misinformation is always going to be a component of massive civil unrest. People are heated. Bad information circulates over social media faster than fact checkers can correct it. That's always going to be a thing, and it's always a problem. It's not good. It shouldn't be a problem, but it is. But it's also an inevitable component of any kind of civil unrest. So let's focus on the underlying issues here, okay? Let's focus on the fact that black people die disproportionately to cops. Let's talk about police treatment of black people. Let's talk about the criminal justice system. Let's talk about poverty. We need to talk about the systemic issues here.
Radio stations is awful, and I think it contributed to a lot of
misinformation.
Not just misinformation, but pain and destruction that happened within those communities because people weren't being given the information they were entitled to.
Yeah.
I think that in itself is an argument against censorship for sure.
That's incredibly disingenuous. The idea that the earlier conversation on censorship with regards to TOS violations has anything to do with fact-checking during, civil unrest, these are completely unrelated points. I don't like... why did the Jubilee people give that guy the last word? Like, that was some kind of salient point. That had nothing to do whatsoever with the censorship they were talking about.
Tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want.
Tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want. I don't think that tech companies or social media platforms should ban people for protected class reasons. Race, gender, age, sex, nationality, religion, that kind of stuff. I guess there are some forums that are all women, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think those should be protected. Apart from that, though, for political opinion or behavior, I think that's acceptable. I think it depends, by the way. I don't actually have a problem with extremist leaders like that being on social media as long as they're not using it to recruit. Sometimes you can use platforms like that just to broadcast. And I think that could be more defensible, but I don't know. I'd have to think about that, actually. I wouldn't want people like ISIS leaders recruiting off Twitter, but I don't know, maybe broadcast what? Probably diplomatic intention, I imagine. I don't know, ISIS, I don't know how often they dip their toes into diplomacy, but if you take something like the Taliban, I think, has tried to engage in some diplomatic action in the regions they control. I wonder if, that would be acceptable. I don't actually know. Yeah, just existing on social media can be a kind of recruitment. That's true. Of course, realistically speaking, if you actually had, yeah, they could post recipes. If you actually had an ISIS leader on Twitter, I feel like they'd get ratioed every time they tweeted, and that'd be kind of funny, right? You know what I mean? You got an ISIS leader, and they're yeah, we're gonna establish a caliphate. Fuck you. And then they get 600,000 quote tweets of fucking people who live in Wisconsin posting pictures of them on a pickup truck with a bunch of guns next to them. I don't know. Gonna get you, that kind of thing. I don't know. Vaush an ISIS leader, but not Trump? I'm just spitballing. The reason why Trump was kicked off was because he was directly responsible for initiating and encouraging an insurrectionist attack on the Capitol that very nearly led to the death of political officials. Not because Trump is bad. If ISIS people were doing shit like that, then obviously they should be kicked off as well. I was just wondering if there was any capacity by which extremist leaders could exist on that platform. Don't ISIS leaders do that, Lamal Vaush? Then if they did, they would get kicked off. Well, what about this is complicated? What does ratioed mean? It means when a tweet gets more comments or quote tweets than it does likes, basically.
Tweets aren't promoting terror or violating
It's
the
also a
terms.
political
That's
party.
That's
They are, Hezbollah is a political party in Lebanon.
I know Bin Laden's dead, but if he were alive and he...
What do you mean if Vaush? Of course ISIS does that. I'm gonna kill myself. In Minecraft, if ISIS did that, then they'd be banned. I was just saying if there was some broad rep account that existed, like some weird like affiliate like diplomatic thing. If they did anything dicey, they get banned. They're probably gonna get banned anyway. I was spitballing. I'm not committed to this idea. Jesus Christ. If I say something that's so non-committal, it frustrates me when I have to correct you people because you're not even understanding the non-committal thing that I'm saying. God. We can't say in Minecraft anymore? No! Oh my God. Minecraft is a video game. Based on info provided by the FBI, the government understands it is common for persons discussing criminal activity online to refer to such activity as occurring in Minecraft to conceal the true nature that they fucking figured us out. They fucking This is COINTELPRO 2.0. God damn it. Fuck. What are we gonna do now? Who told them? Who tattled? One of you fucking rats told them. Yeah, it looks like in Roblox is going to be the next one.
He made a Twitter, and he didn't tweet anything that violated the terms and conditions. To his point, wouldn't they be able to still stay on the platform?
Vaush, I want you to imagine if ISIS was just posting recipes to make them appear better. Isn't that already bad? Do you... Do you think ISIS could... Again, I don't care about any of this. Do you think they could salvage their reputation with falafel recipes? Stop. Shut up. Please, stop. That would be very funny, okay? In fact, I'm committing to this now, okay? I want ISIS to have a cooking Twitter account. All right? That's it. No politics. It's run by ISIS, and all they do is post recipes, okay? What if they were a really good recipe? Yeah, I mean... No, it's... God, this frustrates me so much because this is so inequitable. What you see on the left is usually there's a lot of social unrest that's caused by long-standing socioeconomic issues, you know? And that unrest is catalyzed by some incident like police violence, and it leads to widespread protests, and some of those protests are not peaceful. Some of them have elements of rioting, and usually what you see is people on the left being like, yeah, fuck the system, burn it all down, yeah, okay? I think that is a far cry from what people accused Trump of, because Trump and his team, as the presidential administration, spent months aggressively lying. And all conservative commentators backed him on this. I mean, everybody backed him on this. They all fell in line to push the narrative that the election was being stolen. And Trump pushed this narrative for months and months. He constantly signaled he was not going to give up the election, that anything needed to be done in order to stop the steal, that patriots would rise up, that Mike Pence was a cuck for not blocking the electoral count. And he went as far as to encourage and essentially direct the mob of rioters who ended up attacking the Capitol building on the 6th. I mean, he was there at the protest, and then they went and marched, like, what was it, 1.5 miles to get to the Capitol building? How far was it? I mean, Trump didn't just, like, tweet, yeah, you know, fuck them up. No, Trump very, very specifically coordinated, catalyzed, incited, and then pushed a group of people into doing what happened. And then even after it happened, he essentially said that, you know, oh, you're all so special, you're fantastic, you're all patriots, but we have to go home now. He couldn't even own up to the severity of what he did. This is wildly different than anything you can accuse people on the left of having done. Yeah, and he justified it afterwards, additionally. And after the attack on the Capitol began, it took him a long time to actually tweet or signal anything requiring them to stop.
Terms and conditions is a concern to me on whatever side it's on. And I think back to their various examples. I mean, I think one good one is the Covington kids. Are you guys familiar with this?
Of course, yeah.
Where a lot of people
That's
were
true.
putting things like, oh, we're going to kill these kids, we're going to feed these kids into the wood chipper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they weren't.
That's true. That shit was really bad. This was so bad for the left. This shit was deceptively edited to make it look like the kids were like bullying or like running up on these older people. And there were literally hundreds of thousands of left-leaning people online who were like fantasizing about kicking the shit out of this kid. He's like a kid. Like, even if he's the smuggest little bitch kid in the world, like the optics of everyone on the left, like, yeah, like losing their shit, like that fucking smug ass fucking piece of shit should have shot him. Like, yeah, like, no. Some people, when they just see this face, they just get like run into a blood rage. For a lot of liberals and leftists, this kid's face is this is your equivalent of like the Big Red. This is what you see. A lot of people on the left. It's the equivalent. This is horseshoe theory, okay? A lot of liberals see this and get incited into the same kind of insane behavior that people on the right see this and get incited to do. That wasn't good. That wasn't good at all.
Media source. I mean, you can't look at. There's nothing that will be the unequivocal truth.
Right.
Wait, yeah, Cindy, you're completely right. As I understand it, mega church founders aren't held legally accountable for their followers dying of diseases that they encourage them not to go to doctors for. Homeopaths aren't held legally liable when people die after taking their homeopathic remedies rather than going to the actual doctors. There's a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country for people trying to pass off pseudoscience as medicine, and I don't think people get arrested for that, even if they're directly responsible for it. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think, even when we're talking about people using a position of power to lie to others in a way that gets them directly hurt or killed, I still don't think they're legally liable. Probably because of free speech protections. America is extremely lax when it comes to provisions on free speech, which I generally like, though obviously sometimes it has pretty dire consequences.
Healthy debate.
A lot of people fetishize discourse. Okay? I'm about to drop a massive black pill on you guys, okay? Are you ready for it? Okay? Discourse is like swimming in a lake. Okay? And everyone likes the idea of swimming in a lake. Everyone likes the idea. It's a beautiful lake surrounded by mountains. You know, you can see snow caps up on the top. There are hot bikini babes on the pier. There are some people fishing off in a boat. Everyone likes the lake. It's a beautiful lake, okay? And whenever people talk about the lake and swimming in such lake, they always imagine it how it used to be. What they don't remember, and what they don't talk about, and sometimes what they willfully pretend not to acknowledge, is that the fact has been, the lake has been a toxic dumping ground for about, let's say, all of human history. The lake is fetid, polluted, okay? The thick layer of sludge caked on top is so strong that when you can jump down into the lake and skid on it for a bit before you finally sink down to the liquid layer, okay? But when people talk about it, they just talk about the lake. They don't talk about all the problems in it, all right? Discourse is great. I like the concept of discourse, okay? The problem is Discourse only functions if it takes place in a certain set of contexts that enable it to be productive. And that is not what discourse is right now. Discourse is wildly tainted right now, at this moment. It does not serve its proper and intended function of allowing the best ideas to rise to the top, because there are people with power and interests that incentivize the proliferation of ideas which are in fact not very good. That's the problem. Conceptually, the ideal of the free marketplace of ideas is something that I agree with. I like that. I can imagine us, it's 2,000 years in the future. Humans all live 300 years because of genetic alterations, and every public square is like the Parthenon, okay? Sure, you have your internet, but you also have the public spaces. You know, you've got your future space cafes and your video game holodeck facilities, and you have your big open squares where people get food and hang out, and it's the Parthenon. People talk ideas. People are walking around. You know, the discourse is lively, and everybody is transgender, obviously, okay? I like that. That's a great idea. You know, you have a future society where things are worked out a little better. I'm here for it. The problem is, right now, the free marketplace of ideas is essentially billionaires tossing fat stacks of cash at fast talkers whose job it is to lie as convincingly as possible. That's the free marketplace of ideas. We're all walking around in this public square, ant-sized, and these gigantic, you know, profligators of misinformation, these demagogues with soapboxes and megaphones scream at us, scream untruths at us. And some people are better than others, sure, but it's not exactly the Parthenon. That's the problem, okay? I sympathize with people who like the idea of the free marketplace of ideas, but right now we are not in a position where its existence is really bringing us much good. It's not how we solve problems. Right now we solve problems by making sure the political factions we agree with have the most power possible. Did we learn anything? We learned the FBI has caught on to the Minecraft euphemism. That's for sure. It's easy to inject nuance into these discussions from a distance, the way I'm doing right now, but realistically, you know, if I was actually there at one of those panels, it's entirely possible that it would be as much of a worthless shit show. You know, it's difficult to say.